What's up? It's me. It's me back again. Analog Attack. Brian's back. Good to see you, mate.
Hello there.
How are you doing? You cut short a Dropdead practice to be here tonight.
It wasn't Dropdead actually. It was my
Oh,
sort of metal band.
okay.
We're called Hellbent. Nobody knows us, so
Hellbent. Oh,
yeah.
so
And yes, we are named after Hellbent for leather. Yeah.
that's a Japanese
Not,
band
not
called Hellbent too.
killing me.
There's a Japanese band called Hellbent too.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a lot. I
Probably a
mean,
lot. Yeah.
oh, what do you call it? Painkiller. Was it
Pa-
Painkiller? They
Pain-
did that LP of the New York band. It was like
Oh.
Nausea, I think.
Hmm.
They were good. They were good.
Yeah.
They didn't really do anything back then. I don't think I know they opened for like Sam Hain or something like that. I have like an old flyer, like
Wow.
Why Die Sam Hain,
Oh. Nice.
Hellbent, I think.
Mm.
But yeah, those guys recovered the Hellbent demo from Oblivion. So cheers to Painkiller.
Nice. So we're going to talk about Japanese hardcore again, compilation albums. But before, we've got something much more important to talk about, which is Japankore. So
Yeah,
what's it all about? Tell us about it, Brian. Fanzine, label.
It went back when we were young men.
Yeah.
We were very excited for Japanese stuff, and yeah, not a lot of people knew about it, so I started doing a zine.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people coupled in the zine community, there was a lot of tape distribution kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would get demos from bands and, ask them, hey, you want me to, make copies for US people or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were, I don't remember, I believe they were like $3 postpaid, $4 if you wanted it on like a good tape, like on a chrome tape. So, and also, I mean, I'll just show some of the things.
Let's have a look.
This is the master tape for Battle of Disarm.
Wow, look at that.
That's one of them. And here's another one, another Battle of Disarm master.
Wow.
I had some Disclose ones. I can't find it. Here's the Disclaim tape
Disclaim.
I did.
Yokohama.
Yeah, came in this. Here's the original layout thing. I'm like, you could get laser color copies, but it was cheaper if you got like the kind of half poster size one. And I put 3 tape covers across, and they're slightly different because I colored them by hand a little bit.
Okay.
They're slightly different, so technically 3 different covers, but it wasn't really meant to be that way.
Was that Disclaim? I couldn't quite.
That was Disclaim. Yeah, that was the cover. This is the master tape. That's the
okay. That's the cover, right?
The thing I held up was the cover, original cover master.
Yep.
I mean, actually, this is the Disclose, but it doesn't have the cover with it.
Oh.
Who knows where that is?
Back in the day when nobody cared about Disclose, right? Really?
They just had 2 demos, and they were on Crust and Anguish Life.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. MCR.
Dropdead were also on that, so I listened to the bands that I like Gloom and them. I think were Unwise on that. I don't remember, but I might have wrote to Unwise.
I think they were. Yeah.
So I wrote to a few bands and started tape trading or whatever. I started compiling like a Japankore Omnibus, Volume 1.
Volume 1. Who's on that, Brian? Tell us who's on Volume 1.
Okay, it's not on the cover. That's right. It came with the booklet, and it's here's some original sheets of I just printed them super cheap and just cut them out by hand.
Nice.
Let me find the booklet. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, Unwise were on this, so that's why I think Unwise were on Crust and Anguish Life.
Yeah,
Yeah, Disclose were on it. Ace of Shit.
Ace of Shit. There's a blast from the past.
There was, what was his name? Morikawa from Overthrow Records. That was like his band.
Really?
I don't. Yeah. Yeah, it just says Mori as vocal. So yeah, it must have. And what else is on here? Oh yeah, Battle of Disarm.
Yeah.
Of course, because Battle of Disarm had to be on every compilation in 1991 or 92. And strangely enough, I got CCCC, the noise band.
Damn.
So they gave me like a live track.
Mm.
And it's a pretty lengthy number. I think it's like 9 or 10 minutes of just blasting noise that starts like side B of the tape.
Amazing.
Yeah, when I actually picked this up, it's like one of the issue 4 Japankore.
Wow.
Newsprint thing. My uncle worked for one of the local newspapers as a press operator.
Mm.
He was able to get me printing very cheap. So these are all 4. I did a few like, well, this digest side. This is another zine from like my childhood here.
Wow.
That isn't a Japankore, but there were a couple like that. And I mean, reading them now, I mean, it's interesting, but I think how much information is on the internet now, people would be like just completely unimpressed by the content at this point.
Yeah, but you had to dig deep to get that information, right?
I mean, we wrote to like people, you know, just, you know, send me your band's demo, and hopefully, you know, I was in a band, so I could trade stuff with people.
Right.
You know, I'd send them a 7-inch or a tape or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd send stuff back, and then, you know, if their English was good enough, I could interview them. There weren't a super lot of interviews in Japankore. It more relied on just reviewing media.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
Eventually, you know, moving away from the tapes, I started doing vinyl, and this was one of the early ones that I did, which is Disfuse, which was 3 members of Dropdead, just kind of playing D-beat noisecore stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, obviously Confuse and Discharge.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is the cover of a Confused bootleg called Atrocious Madness, that we just called it Ferocious Badness to further the point that it wasn't entirely serious. The lyrics were all kind of a joke about war stuff and other just stupidity. On the other side was Power of Idea.
Oh, our old mate's Power of Idea.
Yeah, and I did 300 of these, and they were all on red vinyl.
Jesus.
And to save money on printing labels, I made one side with a red label and one with a white label. To kind of I guess simulate like the Japanese flag or something.
Something
like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think I've ever owned a copy of that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there were only 300, so I think all Japanese distribution came through Power of Idea.
Right.
And then this was like the last one I did before like we retired the label there. If you can see it, it's
yeah, that's on my wants list, actually, that one.
Yeah, it's this was what was the name? Ghana from Gaia.
Yeah.
I asked her, I was like, you know, a lot of punk bands and whatever that are, you know, all girl bands, all female bands. And she was like, yeah. I was like, could you like compile a bunch of this stuff and I can like release it? And she did all the legwork.
Damn.
She got the cover artist. I forget who did the cover art. I could probably figure it out, but it was somebody from one of the bands. They did kind of like a watercolor.
It's very cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I mean, the bands, most of them didn't do too much other stuff, or they just, you know, did a little bit. I mean, the guy on there, Yume Fuda, I think they did a 7-inch.
They do. They have a 7-inch, and I think Gorento also have a 7-inch, I think.
Yeah, and Think were on here, who they had a 7-inch, and they had a split 7-inch with Hell Nation, right?
Yeah.
And we actually played with them in Japan too when we went over there. And they're really good. Yeah. Honeybee, kind of like a pop punk kind of thing.
Yeah.
Catchy melodic stuff. They were good. No Real, which I don't think they did anything else.
No.
Bone Crusher, I think, might have done like a CD or something, like a CD only album or some shit like that. I don't really know. I didn't do any research on this part because I forgot about it. And what caused a little controversy at the time was
Oh,
because they gave me so much stuff, it didn't exactly fit on a 7-inch. So I did it as a one-sided LP. But since I did that, I had extra room. I
mm,
asked Mel Banana to give me like a live track for it.
okay.
And Ghana at the time, I don't know if she was exactly pissed, but she was kind of like, why is that also added to the collection kind of thing.
Oh,
So, I mean, at the end of the day, they ended up playing, like, they had a record release show for this, but they had t-shirts made and everything. I have a t-shirt in a box around here somewhere.
where was that? Do you know? Well, somewhere in Tokyo.
96.
Where?
It was in 96 in Tokyo
Yeah.
somewhere.
Wow.
I don't know. I have a flyer for it. I have the poster. I mean
Nice. I didn't know that.
the
Wow.
t-shirt for it.
Wow.
And yeah, Mel Banana ended up playing the record release show.
Cool.
So
Cool.
I mean, I don't know how the scenes were separated back then, if they were
Right.
very like strict, but I know earlier in in the 80s and stuff,
Hmm.
like I mean, Kyushu Kaiden, they
Yeah.
did stuff with SOB, they did stuff
Yes.
with the Stalin,
It,
Star
yeah.
Kaiden,
Yeah.
in other bands too. I'm sure I'm forgetting other ones where they just
Mm.
played like noise and hardcore at the same time.
Yeah.
Takeshi was a big advocate of this kind of stuff too. He, in his zine POW had a lot of industrial noise
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't unheard of, but I don't know if by
Uh.
'96 kind of that stuff had gone a little bit by the wayside. But
Yeah. But yeah, maybe Melt Banana were just in a slightly different scene to most
yeah,
of those other bands, maybe. Perhaps.
yeah. I mean, I don't know because I wasn't there, but
Me
they
neither.
didn't see. At the end of the day, I guess it worked out because they played a show together, and
That's cool. Very cool.
I didn't hear anything bad about it, so that's good.
Yeah. So
I mean, I did revise the label recently to do this. Yes, it is the
Crusade.
two Crusade demos on an LP.
Osaka band.
Yes, Osaka, and what's his name? Fucking Takeshi from Crazy Fucked Up Daily Life.
Yeah.
And actually, I talked to him back then,
Yeah.
and we kind of, online, we renewed our friendship there for a bit. So he got me the Crusade master tapes and whatever, and
Nice.
he was kind of the go-between because I don't think the singer, I think is the only one who's kind of really active now.
Yeah.
I
Chihiro.
don't think
Yeah.
her English is very good.
Yes. I see her like every now and again. Well, not recently, but she comes to shows and stuff still.
I think like she's really into like death metal or black metal stuff now. On Instagram, just kind of posting that stuff. I never really see her doing hardcore anymore. So
cool. Yeah, but Japankore.
Yeah, I was really psyched to do that LP because I thought those demos were really good.
Yeah, good.
And they were just languishing, for
yeah.
Nobody, they weren't on any comps, I don't think even.
I don't think
they just had
so, no.
2 demos and that was it. So
yeah.
So
cool.
I think that's about the end of the road for Japankore there. I can't think.
Yeah, I noticed you have like a Facebook page. Are there like PDFs or anything of any of the issues?
No, I don't even have all the issues anymore. I mean, I do I try to keep one of every record of bands I'm in, but like old zines I did and stuff, I probably did like close to 20 zines, and I have maybe 10 of them.
Yeah.
With like different zines, like not just Japankore. I did like other stuff too. I guess I didn't think as highly of myself and my work as maybe other people did or something.
Yeah, I'd like to sort of go back and read some of those actually, because I don't have any of them anymore either. I'd like to go back and read some of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't even know. I just remember one of the Japankore things I did was I took all the flexis I had and I just like wrote out approximately what year they came out.
Yeah.
Based on like recording date or copyright date or anything like that. And I tried to get them in order. So if you had a flexi that had no date on it whatsoever, but you had like the matrix number, E7496 or whatever, you could figure out that came out maybe in, 87 or whatever.
Right.
And a lot of people were like, oh, that's so nerdy, which for today, that isn't even like,
no,
that's like the absolute minimum.
Yeah. Yeah. But you were doing that like online like Japanese hardcore discography site too, right?
I did. It didn't go very far.
Okay.
And there were a few other people doing them at the same time too.
Oh, really? Okay.
But yeah, I mean, now we have Discogs and you can kind of sort everything, and there's way more stuff on there than I ever knew about at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Beautiful. All right. So today's theme is compilation albums. And I feel like the compilation album was really important in Japan. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were many scenes around the world.
Yeah.
Especially in the 80s, into the early 90s, I suppose, for Japan especially.
Yeah.
And like any other scene, I think, you get to kind of these smaller cities, especially, and they would, for the entire scene, they would just do an LP with 1, 2, 3 songs by each band.
Yes.
And then those bands broke up, and now 30 years later, that's the only thing you have to remember them by.
Absolutely.
So I think those are even though there's some real killer comps with a lot of big bands on them.
Yeah.
I mean, how many comps are there that have Death Side and Lip Cream and Crow or something like that?
I'll get to that a bit later, because it was a bit of a problem when I was picking out my 10. I was trying not to have too much crossover, but it's well, it's got Death Side on it again, but it's I tried to not do that, but I couldn't avoid it actually. But
yeah, it's tough because there were just so many of them that were kind of that. It was just kind of the scene leader kind of thing, and maybe 1 or 2 other bands that just had a 7-inch or nothing. But yeah, a lot of times those comps are just loaded with killer stuff, and even some of the stuff I'm going to do here is like that, because why not?
Yeah. We'll get to it. So I've got 10, you've got 10. Kick us off with your first choice, Brian. What you got?
Okay. I'm not holding back, and of course we have to start with.
I knew you were gonna show that.
Of course, this is exactly the kind of comp I was talking about, where it was from Sendai. All the bands are from Sendai.
That's right.
And, most of these bands, the only other tracks they have are on "Give Us the Time to Play."
Banish Arms.
Double 7-inch, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's I think Fat Slave are also on that. But
they are. Yeah.
You've never heard of, for the most part. Bat Bones.
Bat Bones. They're my. Hang on. What's the first song? The first song's Bat Bones, right?
Shitmaker.
Shitmaker. That just comes right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Full bore.
I mean, this comp is really, since you've never heard of any of these bands, unless you're a kook, this is really high quality, bunch of
really is. Yeah.
And I mean, Lancelot had a flexi, Eat the Dream Flexi,
on Stomping Records, which we talked about last time.
This LP is on Stomping too. It's also Water Music was the manufacturer, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. It was just bankrolled. I don't know if Water Music was a record shop or something. I don't know what it was. But yeah, Wild Geese. Who's that? Yeah, Leatherface, not the Leatherface anymore.
Yeah.
And Lancelot, as I mentioned. And you flip it over, Redneck.
They're great as well.
Yeah, Banish Arms. Also good. Really burly stuff.
Yeah.
Snickers, which are your favorite. Which all the bands have 2 songs except for Snickers.
And Snickers are the only band that has a one word name. It's Leatherface, Backbones, Sex Slave.
I mean, it actually says the Snickers.
The Snickers.
See, those things. And it is the Snickers candy bar logo that they stole. So respect for that.
That kind of sounds like a little bit like an Abradaco meets Crass kind of. It's really different.
You know who I was thinking of? Crazy SBK.
Okay, yeah.
Or SKB.
SKB, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, because it's kind of like this rambling spoken word stuff going on underneath the chaotic music. And it's a little bit metallic, like a lot of that stuff. And the last band on here is a Fat Slave. with it says fast and heavy moshing thrash.
Yeah.
Which to me is kind of funny. And I don't really understand, like, can you see this? Like, what is this little guy where it says fat slave, like kind of holding up his muscle? Like thinking, what is that about? It's like, I don't know if it's racist or it's a little weird looking. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, pretty much all the bands on here are high speed thrash.
Yeah.
For the most part, and just really burly good stuff, recorded well.
It is.
I think it's all recorded at the same studio.
Right. And it was put out by a record shop called Water. It's on there. It was put out by a record shop from Sendai.
It says manufactured by Water Music.
Yeah, that was a record shop, I believe.
Okay, and it's on Stomping. It's Stomping number 7.
Yeah. Which,
the Tiffany's were other bands, and also the thanks list is like most of the bands just thank each other. And it's the same bands,
right.
They're on the top. But there was like a couple on here that what was it? Oh, Barbarian Scarecrow. Like, what do they sound like? Barbarian.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Hardcore Showcase, Sendai Hardcore, top-notch compilation that probably a lot of people watching this don't know about.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And the cover art's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really hand done, and like I don't know, it's pretty cool looking art. I mean, sometimes the art on these comps gets so wacky that like people in the West, I think, can't even relate to what's going on with the cover art.
I've got a few of those actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Who doesn't, right? But yeah, this I looked it up. The price didn't seem too bad on this. I mean, comparatively, but it was still, I think it was like $80 or $90 to pick up a copy, which if you're not a collector is like ludicrous. But compared to a lot of stuff, I'm down to like the only stuff I don't have is like really questionable flexies, like insect powder, like stuff like that probably I'm not even gonna like it.
Right.
And $500 plus flexies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so $100 LP or $80 LP isn't that
no
ludicrous for Japanese collection.
I used to distribute that one. I had like 20 or 30 copies of that at one point.
God, how many got thrown in the skip at the end of the day?
God. All right, so from a kind of obscure one to a really, really well-known one, but it's got to be included.
All right.
Early days.
I'm glad you included that because that is actually one of my favorite albums ever. It is so good.
And this is probably like the 5th copy I've ever owned. It's got Great Punk Hits, 1983, major label. It's on Japan Records. It's a major label, which is crazy. We've got all this extreme hardcore on a major label. It's Japan Records, which was founded by a guy called Koki Miura, who was like a kind of record executive guy that worked for King Records, and he's a real suit and tie kind of, music biz guy. But this is his label, Japan Record, and the best 2 Gizm songs in my personal opinion.
Really, like in the recording quality. Everything on there is like devastating.
Well, I think it was recorded in a really big, major label studio.
Yeah. It sounds like everything on there is that except for the Laughing Nose. Right.
I think at that point, Laughing Nose were maybe still in Osaka, so maybe they used a different studio.
I think so, yeah. Well, I mean, the artwork. AA Records is Osaka, right?
Yeah. They were originally an Osaka band, Laughing Nose, yeah.
In their 7-inch, they came out around the same time, and one of the songs is on the 7-inch. I Get the Glory, the same version.
Perdition is one of the sort of more hardcore songs.
Yeah, it's AA Records 001, so they must have still been in Osaka.
What else is cool about this record? I mean, you've got Execute songs with Baki from Gas Tank.
Yeah.
He was still in the band that time. What else? I mean, GZ, also one of my all-time favorite
tracks are incredible.
Amazing. Artwork by Sakavi, or the design is by Sakavi. It says on the back, and I forget who this is supposed to be. Isn't this Randy Uchida?
It looks like Randy Uchida to me. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's kind of like altered, And then the whole thing was kind of put together by Miki Moriwaki, who was the guy that did Doll fanzine and Dogma Records. He was like the kind of producer of this record. So
Yeah, what do you think about the Abaradako tracks on there? Those to me, I like them better than the Flexi. And
really?
some Japanese guy flipped out on me that I said that.
For me, like obviously it's a classic, but it's like, would it have even been better if like Abaradako, which means greasy octopus for anyone wondering.
Octopus.
Yeah. And Laughing Nose, if those two bands were replaced with two different bands, it might have, I don't know. Because the Gizm and the...
I really love those Abaradako tracks, especially the first one.
Yeah.
With like all the snare rolls in it, and they're just like chanting through the whole thing. It's just very intense. And
So, this got repressed. This is the first pressing. No OB.
Yeah. I know there was 87 they did a repress. I know that.
They did, and that's on Tokuma, Japan, a different label, but that's also the label that Koki Miura, the business guy, he was involved with that label too. Another major label.
Yeah, 91, I think it also came out on CD. I don't know what label it's on. I don't have it.
Me neither. But yeah, it's a classic. I mean, it's like entry level, but just the fact that it was on a major label, it's like really extreme music on a major label.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, those Gisette tracks for like metal punk or whatever they want to call it now.
They invented it,
That's what I'm saying. Those tracks are just so far ahead of their time. They're just crazy.
And the album, the Gisette album, is just like, you've got like a Discharge riff and a Black Sabbath riff and a Motorhead riff. It's just that's what it is. They do it so well.
So like motor punk.
Like way before it was even a thing, right? So
right.
Yeah, that's my first pick. So
all right. I don't have these in order.
Okay, any order's okay. Mine are not ranked or anything,
I want to, I want to do my thing here. I'm going to keep it on the kind of almost mainstream thing here.
All right.
Farewell to Arms. This is the German press.
Yes, that's the one I had back in the day.
You could get this for $6 anywhere.
Nuclear Blast pressed thousands and thousands of them, obviously.
Yeah, millions of them. This is the Selfish press right here. It has a completely different the Gumbaku thing in Hiroshima Peace Park or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Kind of a blown out thing. But yeah, the tracks on here are fantastic too.
Yeah.
The lip cream just comes out of the gate.
Yeah.
So just punishing delivery.
Yeah.
Straight out of the gate. It's they really kill it. Odo, less tuneful, still.
Yeah.
still harsh band. The Execute tracks on here again.
Ghost Candle is one of them, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the name of it.
A little bit. They're doing a bit of their sort of gothic thing a little bit, right, on those two tracks, maybe a bit more gothic sounding.
I'm like blind.
Yeah.
Angel Bitch and Ghost Candle. Yeah, it is a little bit on the gothic tip. Yeah. But it's still cool. The ghoul stuff is also on that more like metallic gothic kind of angle.
Yes. Yeah.
And I really like it. And this actually has some of my favorite gas talk on it. Well, Alpha in 201.
And the Eyes.
The Eyes. It has an alternate version of the Eyes.
Yeah.
But Alpha in 201, it is the only place you can hear it is on this.
That's right.
I haven't even seen it on like collections or something like that.
No, that's right. Good point. Yeah.
It's it's like a 3-note thrasher.
Yeah.
It has like a piano run at the end of every chorus or whatever. But yeah.
I mean, fair play to Nuclear Blast for
guitar solo. It's got really aggressive bass playing in it. It's a really, really good, well put together compilation.
Yeah.
It was really important at the time. And to this day, I think all the kids should definitely pick up one. Oh no, I forgot to mention Gauze are on this.
They are.
A band that is on every compilation.
Yeah.
It's almost every important, 80% of important compilations from Japan.
True.
Gauze are on there.
Gauze.
And they should be. They were
yeah,
the first hardcore band from Japan, probably, right? I mean,
yeah, I would say so. Well, talking of Gauze and Lip Cream and Uto, I've got to show this one. Have you got it?
I also have that one.
Yeah.
I do not have this one. I do not have the Japanese press of this guy.
Good. Then we can compare and contrast, because if we turn it over, you can see that this is
the Lip Cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the Lip Cream here. They just kind of.
Yeah, I think Pusshead just got rid of this.
Yeah, I actually have a bootleg that has that graphic on it. It's a split LP with Siege, both live stuff. Yeah, it's like one of those, weird European bootlegs. Lip Cream with that's the cover art on it on one side, and Siege has some like random shit on the other side.
I mean, yeah, I can maybe understand why Pusshead didn't want this.
Yeah, I mean, if Plan's been whipping a naked girl's ass, that might be a little questionable.
But this is Selfish Records 1986, Passport version 1987. 4 bands, just unrelenting from like start to finish. Classic.
Yeah,
I like this concept too of almost like the 7-inch.
Yeah, like the four 7 inches on an LP.
I love that. Yeah. And everyone is like different, and they're all really unique, and they all look great. And I've got to say this record was put together by Naoki. He compiled it from Lip Cream.
From Lip Cream, yeah,
and who just passed away recently. Yeah. So rest in peace to Naoki.
Yeah, and I have to say, if I had to like rank the bands on there, I might go Gauze, Systematic Death, Lip Cream, then Odo. Just because the Lip Cream, I feel like the stuff on Farewell to Arms, it just hits harder. It just
I agree with you. I always thought like it's a little bit like Meat and Potatoes. They're not the songs aren't as catchy as Lip Cream songs usually are. They're a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, they're like the last 3 12 inches kind of are just like packed with like catchy songs that are just crazy, thrashy, just full of energy.
But
and those songs they're a little less catchy, a little less more direct in your face.
A little bit less impactful. I agree with that. That's a good point. And the funny thing about this for me too, it has my favorite Gore song on it, Fashion Passion. I love that slow, like stomping. They didn't really do another song like that in their career, I love that song.
Yeah, I mean, that was almost definitely the first Japanese, like dedicated Japanese record that I got, because it was, a $6 record from Passport.
Yeah.
It was real easy to get, and it did not sound like American hardcore, especially at the time when I got it, when all bands were going emotional funk metal or whatever. They just would, all the hardcore scenes had died at that point pretty much, except for, I guess the New York scene was kind of ramping up with more thrashy stuff. But
really important compilation again, as Nuclear blasted with Farewell to Arms, introducing Japanese hardcore overseas. Pusshead doing the same thing. Very, very important. Classic.
Indeed. I mean, there's so many.
1980.
So many people, the first thing that they'll mention that they ever heard for Japanese hardcore is, the Peace compilation.
Yes, me too. Yeah, Gizem and Stalin, right? Yeah.
No. Execute.
Execute too, right? Yes.
Yeah. Stalin are on
Welcome to 1984. Yeah.
Chicken Farm Chicken.
That's it.
That's the other one that people might say would be the first place they heard. But then, like, the first actual record they'll get usually would be that, at least Americans, or
Or there's that Virus comp. I don't know if you pulled it out, but the French.
Yes, I did not. I thought about it, but yeah.
Too much crossover with like some of the others. So, all right. So I guess you're up. Next one.
Guess I'm up.
Guess you're up. Oh,
Pouch.
there you go.
Now this one isn't necessarily one of my favorites. I wanted to talk about this one. I kind of just pulled out records and I started listening and thinking about it. And this to me, it's one of those scene comps. It's all bands from Fukuoka.
That's right. Yeah. Kyushu.
In Kyushu, yes. It says 85 manufactured and distributed. I think probably more like 86 maybe, but they actually got out there maybe towards the end of 85. But anyways, it has Guy, and Guy, it sounds exactly like the Swanky stuff from, the Very Best of Hero LP. So it must have been right before they switched back to being the Swankies.
Yeah, that stuff always confuses me. All that changing about, name change, changing back, changing styles. Very intriguing, actually.
Yeah. And I mean, this stuff it's really good. It's really good stuff because that Swanky's LP, that Very Best of Hero, that is an all-time fucking classic, and I still can't believe it hasn't been reissued. It's ludicrous that it hasn't been reissued.
I don't know why King's World Records are kind of sitting on that. Really, doesn't really make sense.
It came out on Dogma, so I don't know if there's a problem with.
Sorry, that's true. Well, Dogma's just pretty much defunct. Miki Moriwaki, who we mentioned with the great punk hits, I think he's just totally out of the scene. I think so.
Some of that stuff did eventually on Dogma got reissued on SS, that SS label.
Sunshine Sherbet, right? Is that right? No, I don't.
No, I don't think it's related. I know who you're talking about. No, SS. They did like those Stalin reissues where they did like the Flexi and then the first 7-inch.
Okay.
Like probably about 10, 15 years ago. I think they did some Aburadaku, like the first Black. They did these CDs of they did like a Comes like live thing from 82 to 83, and then like an 84 to 86 live.
Yeah, all on CD, right? Big CD.
Yeah. And the Clay, they did a live Clay thing too.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
But anyway, back to this comp. Gudon. Well, nobody seems to know anything about Gudon at all. Like even if it shared members with other bands. Guess or Jess, GESS. They did their demo. FOAD did their demo on an LP this year. This stuff is a little more punky.
Yeah.
A little less noisy or whatever.
Yeah.
No cut around the B side. They had like a 7-inch. I think they had a 12-inch too, but I don't have them. If they do have
more like punk rock, right?
Yeah, more punk.
Yeah.
Aggressive Dogs, who continue to this day, I think.
They do, and they went like full on New York hardcore.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
And Kuro have 2 songs,
they do,
which sound very much on the motor punk thing. The first song, what was it? Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah.
It is Ace of Spades. It is Ace of Spades, period. There's no two ways about it. It's Ace of Spades. And then Midnight Baby. What does that sound like? I was thinking what? It's another song. It's basically they just took 2 songs and kind of Kuroized them a little bit. It's Broken Bones Decapitated.
Oh, but yes, there you go. Yeah.
Baby, Midnight Baby. It's like Jesus. They and this is 85 or whatever, which is that's 83, 84 Broken Bones. They must have just heard that and just kind of.
Well, that'll do.
To me, this is kind of this came out at a time when this scene was really changing or declining, depending on how you look at it. It was way more leaning towards the 77 punk stuff. Probably the leader of that being the Swankies. Right after they did the Very Best of Hero stuff, they kind of more and more just snotty 77 punk, which I like some of that stuff, but it's not as exciting, I guess you could say. It's definitely not as severe as some of that. Like the guy
I think the Swankies were responsible for a lot of second-rate Swankies clones doing that kind of pistol style.
Yeah.
Punk. There's a whole ton of those bands, right, from that area.
There are, and a lot of them came out on King's World.
Yeah.
A lot of.
Yeah, it's interesting, but
a lot of there's so many Swankies releases that are just it's bizarre. You can't even tell what they are exactly. It's just it'll say like live New York, fuck off. It's like, well, what is it? And then it's like, it's a CD, it's a double CD, and each CD will have like 18 minutes of music on it. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I know. It's they're a very strange label, I think, King's World.
Yeah. But anyways, that LP was on KPP, which also did the Kuro Fire Pack. So that stuff, I guess, was recorded between the Who the Helpless, which is, just extreme blown out distortion.
Yeah.
And then they kind of have like these kind of motorheady, almost tame for Kuro kind of tracks.
Yeah.
And then the Fire stuff, which is a little more back on the noisy tip, not as noisy as the old stuff. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know if they were just tailoring it to the more like punk rock
maybe
sound of pinch and ouch. It's
yeah, good comp. I don't own it at the moment.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I guess all the other comps from that area were cassette only things. The downtown city punker, whatever it is, like thing. They're just and this Confuse isn't on that comp. That's the big omission to me. Because I mean, they were Contempt for the Authority and Take Off the Lie kind of has some of that 77 pogo punk kind of sound to it, so they could have been on there, but didn't happen. Disappointing. All right, go ahead.
So talking of regional comps, nicely. This I'm in Osaka, obviously, so I kind of wanted to choose something from Osaka. So there's not too many. There's the Last Punk Osaka comp, which has like SOB and Oot on it, I think. Maybe that's older, but this is Fear. It's on Alchemy Records, 4 bands, Rapes, Griffin, Dance Macabre, and KGGM. It's all like mid-paced, dark stuff, See, Samhain kind of style. But Alchemy's interesting because it's like Jojo Hiroshike's label, right, from Hijo Kaidan.
Yep.
And
they again, we were talking about the noise punk connection. Talking about that label, some of their earlier releases were like they did that SS 12-inch.
Yeah.
Live 79, it came out in 84. They did Inu. The I think his first LP was a major label kind of thing.
And that Sakavi and Jojo Mammalia was on Alchemy too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he did put out some straight hardcore records. And the artwork's done by Masahiko Ono, who's like in Soul Mania, another noise guy,
Yes.
So, it's funny. This compilation is funny because like the Rapes songs are like their 3 like biggest hits, and they only really appeared on like compilations. So they always play like Hell Street and Devil's Fire is their sort of big hit. They always play that live. And, Dance Macabre, maybe a little bit underrated band. It's the band that came after Zorro. Total sound change, sounds more like Samhain, really slow to mid-paced, dark, gloomy stuff.
I guess Cherry was that was kind of his thing, even when that was more of his scene. He wasn't really into hardcore.
Right. Another cool thing about this record, it sounds really good. So I was checking it out, and it was recorded at a studio called Jam in Osaka, 1989. And same studio.
I've definitely seen Studio Jam on a lot of records.
Well, there's one in Tokyo too, but this is the Osaka one. So Warhead Crime was recorded there. And, Nightmare, Give Notice was recorded there. And they all sound great, great sounding records, really powerful. A little bit of a link there. And then even this one, I don't know how that happened, but So What must have come all the way down from Shizuoka just to record at that studio.
Right, from Shizuoka, right. Huh.
Yeah, so, there's a whole bunch of other stuff as well that was recorded at Jam in Osaka. I think it's important because they got, really good sounding records out of that studio. So, yeah.
All right, well, if it's my turn.
It is your turn.
I'm doing it.
Oh, how about that? There you go. Amazing.
Now this one, it's like the earliest, if not the earliest SOB tracks, because there was like some comp tape called like Wild West Kids or some shit like that.
Oh, it's Taste of Wild West on Alchemy.
No, it isn't Taste of Wild West. It's some other
different one. Okay.
It's a tape only thing.
All right.
It has like a couple SOB tracks. It might be just like a few months before this. Wow. I have not heard them.
Yeah, Taste of Wild West is later, right?
Yeah. But it has 5 SOB tracks, and they're not quite up to the speed. Like a year later, they were playing when they did the Leave Me Alone,
right?
7, which is, a benchmark of ferocious thrash for the time. It was, before Napalm Death did anything, and it's a hair less fast than that, but more tuneful. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So the other bands on this, Brutus.
Oh God, I think members of Brutus went on to other bands too, but I forget.
They did. I was looking at this, and
cool.
It's I do have some information on
crossovers
and stuff here. This is Oto stuff. It's basically 3/4 of Half-Wit Life, like different recordings of it, and then another song. So it's interesting that but I mean, I was looking, not many people own this, even on Discogs. There were only like 36 people own it.
Really? That it shows up, it shows up now and again in Osaka, because Osaka record, but
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of these other, punk cops, even like, I think even like Hardcore Showcase, more people had copies of that than Last Bunko.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, mine unfortunately doesn't have the poster. This apparently came with a poster too. I don't have that. So this gets into another thing as a scene comp. One side is like all the fast hardcore bands, and the B side are all the punk bands.
Yes.
Or melodic hardcore, however you want to state it.
Yeah.
So Dither
is
one of the bands on here, which one of the guys went on. He was in Humpty Dumpty. And Bull the
Dogs.
Bull the Dogs.
Wow, Bull the Dogs is a kind of nationalist skinhead band.
Yeah, he was like in a lot of skinhead bands from what I could tell after that. And then what was the other guy? What band was he in? He was like in, and actually, also the song titles, just looking at these, Tunk Man Blues. Hole in the Pocket. It just kind of sounds like it's gonna be like blue punk kind of shit. I mean, it's a little more straightforward, more just kind of punk.
Yeah.
But goddamn, I can't remember like what other bands he went.
I knew, but it's just not coming to me now. Sorry. In the comments, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. The Riot. The next band is The Riot, which turned into Griffin.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
And we talked about Griffin, like not on camera before. We talking about Griffin. How Griffin were like so popular in Japan, but like you couldn't sell their record in the West. Just nobody was interested because they didn't play like high speed thrash.
I should say that actually the Griffin, these are my favorite Griffin tracks actually on this comp. Bit more hard hitting.
I have that, but I haven't listened to it in a long time.
Mid-paced. Dororo, right?
Yeah, Dororo, which I think these are their only punk tracks, because I believe the other tracks are more like heavy metal.
Wow, I've seen them live so many times. They're still going.
Really? Oh my God.
They often play with like Tetsuare. They do like that kind of like mid-paced Tetsuare sound. Okay. They can be really good. They've got like a couple of albums out on C. Actually, MCR just released their most recent album, like last year.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, no, they had I thought they had a split flexi
with BP the Prisoner, right?
Breaking Power the Prisoner. Yeah. Which I thought I had, but I cannot find it. So who knows what happened to that? And it's like a $300 flexi, so forget about it. But now it's killing me like what other band that dude from Dither was in.
Yeah, it's not coming to me. We're dithering about Dither. Let's move on. But Brian, can you show the cover again? I'll talk a little bit about where that picture's taken. It's right in downtown Osaka, and it's on a bridge called Dotonbori. It goes over the canal, and they're all run. It's so nice to see that picture because I walk down that street almost every day, and I can see how it's changed, you know, and everything. And I really love that picture, you know, on the front.
Early
Very cool.
band pictures on the back, probably.
Yeah, and on the front, it's all the band members of all the bands, so you can see people from SOB.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking that the dude all the way on the right with the gold gym shirt, is that the guy
that's
from
Mitchung.
Uto?
That's Mitchung, the drummer of Uto, I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He has a unique look.
And they're all young, and they're running down over the bridge. It's really cool, and it looks really just of its time in Osaka, you know.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Last flat tire Osaka.
Yeah.
Every time, like half of the time, I look up punk, and I like do some switch up to like Japanese characters. It'll translate punk as flat tire.
Yeah,
But
because it's puncture.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's what it is. It's like, you know, puncture. That's why it translates as flat tire. Well, I'm upright. I had to choose an MCR one. I had to be in there, and I thought this is a really great comp. Kakume.
I looked at that. It's got a lot of bands.
It's got a lot of bands, so I don't know if I can talk about every band.
A lot of B-tier bands, but they're really good.
They're really good. It's a really solid compilation. It was kind of put together by Yoshikawa from Don Don, one of the guys from FVK. They kind of compiled all the bands and gave it to MCR, and they put it out. But yeah, let's look at the back. Macrophage.
Yes.
Which, I don't know. It's kind of tough to follow that song because it's so like brutal.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. It kind of just like, yeah. It's and then Pile Driver, classic. You know, Slaver. I saw them once. Good band. Also like just meat and potatoes Japanese hardcore, most of it, right?
Sure.
Nuki Pikes, a couple of songs. The only band that has 2 songs. Actually, no, Terror have 2 songs too. And then great Japanese punk band, GJPB.
We played with them when we were in Japan, and I was so happy. And I went up to the band members, and they were completely surprised I had heard of them. So
such a great name. And then Sweats. Sweats is an interesting band because the bass player of Sweats was Takeshi, who put out the State Children Flexi and then went on to play in Rock in Sweden. So that was his band. And they did a record that was like an LP. It's like one of those great, only 300 made.
Yeah.
And it's like psychedelic. They kind of changed their style. Huh. Pretty cool. And Juntes, Asbestos, sick.
Yes.
That's just side one. Don have a good song.
And this is like JC Color or
JC
something.
Color like with their Mad and Whiskey. And Les Hayes have a good song. Terror is a good band. They had that 7-inch.
Yes.
Terror, I forget what it's called. It has like the hooded figures on it. Idora, Sicilian Blood, you know.
Yeah.
Gill have this is my favorite Gill song. It's like kind of a more mid-paced, really driving hardcore punk song. Yellow Label, really violent, like sounding fast, and then FVK.
Yeah. Is Yellow Label on anything else?
I think they are. Aren't they on that? The bottom rise up the top. Flexi, are they on that? Maybe not. That's Slaver, Asbestos, Juntes, maybe Yellow Label, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head they're on anyways.
But you know,
that's what's kind of neat about those comps. Like these are when we were talking about like the top tier bands that are on everything.
Yeah.
Don Don is definitely one that's like on every kind of B tier comp or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were great. I mean, you remember I did that 7-inch by them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was definitely into them.
There's a guy. There's a guy I want to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's a guitarist. His name's Shin Ichiro. Whenever he's in a lineup of a band, he's got such a powerful guitar tone. So he like played in Don Don for a little bit, and he also played in Asbestos, and he played in Macrophage. He's got this really like heavy guitar sound. So whenever he's like on the record, like it's funny because he's not on the Macrophage song on this compilation for some reason. A different guitar player, but he has a very recognizable guitar sound. So. Yeah, but you know, good comp, many bands. MCR Company. 1990, April
Yeah,
1990.
I mean, when I think of that comp, I think of other things like Enjoy Your Youth by this hardcore sampler.
There you go. Yeah.
Like that's another one that's a lot of bands that like did very little, and of course FEK and Don Don are on that one too, right?
There you go. Yeah, I think they were very active. Like Yoshikawa from Don Don, very active guy at that time, you know.
And his English wasn't bad, so
yeah,
he was also able to like. I know they were on like some Western comps, like just tapes and like single songs.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
LPs and stuff.
Yeah. What you got? Oh, come on then. Let's do this one together. There you go. There you go.
We'll do it together.
There you go.
I actually pulled out the CD to listen to in the car while I was going to practice today.
Yeah.
Just to go. And yeah, the song order is a little different.
Yeah, it's different, right?
Yeah, because the Nightmare stuff comes right after the Bandit stuff.
Oh.
So it must be just like side consideration stuff.
Right.
So yeah, this is BSR 007, and the CD is actually CD 001. I never understood the giving different label numbers for CDs versus LPs. It's a Japanese thing, I guess.
But, you know, very striking record. I mean, the cover's just like.
Yeah, the art's really great.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised because I just went online. How much this sells for now?
15,000 yen. There's one I think was online on Discogs, I think, or maybe more.
150,000 yen, you mean?
15,000, maybe. That's like $150, right?
Wait. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. My mind was bent. Yeah, it was about $150.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's late here and I've already practiced and taken a shower. But this is like it's pretty much punishment from beginning to end on here, except for there's like 2 slowish tracks.
Yeah.
And they're not like, you know, they're still heavy tracks. The Death Side stuff is just blazing.
I mean, just relentless. I wish that this was on like a 7-inch. These 4.
Just those 4 tracks. I can see that. The especially, I mean, right out of the gate, Crook. I would call them Crook. What would you call them?
Crook.
The thing is, I've seen it with the 2 dots over the U, which would make it like a long U sound. So I don't know what to call them.
I don't know what it's supposed to. This one doesn't have the.
It doesn't have the umlauts over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they come out pretty strong, and then Bandit just fucking destroy. And it's like, I think it's the music is very similar to all of the music is kind of similar, just high speed metallic thrash kind of stuff. But the vocals for like Bandit, Nightmare, and Death Side, I think really like push them to the top tier, top half of this LP as far as the songs go.
I've seen those 3 bands together, Bandit, Nightmare, and Death Side, one time. Very cool. But Bandit, the drummer is Koide, who now is the singer of I. He was the drummer in Bandit. Yeah.
Katha Buddha, or however you would say it, we played with them in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember too much about them at this point.
I'm not a huge fan. They have like double flexi, right? Tune in, drop out, or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know I think they were on a few other comps or whatever. And they had some demo tapes too.
They've just had a discography CD put out by Bloodsucker.
But yeah, I was surprised how much this sells for now, because it almost seems new to me just because I remember when it came out versus some of these other historic comps that came out just like probably 3-4 years before, or still a little bit more.
Yeah,
that they just seem so unobtainable, where this is so easy to get because it didn't just come.
Another one I used to distribute as well, but that's a classic. I mean, the artist is uncredited, but it's Sugi, right? I'm guessing.
Or I'm not sure.
No, it doesn't. It's not credited. So.
In its color, where most of the Sugi stuff, if they colored it, would it look like that? I'm not sure.
It's a good point. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find out a bit more about that because it's not credited. So, but classic. Yeah, Starving Dog Eats Master, Bloodsucker Records. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna go.
It's now your turn since I picked that one.
Yeah, it's my turn. So, okay, before I show it, let's think of a Japanese hardcore compilation that looks like this. Scott Walker 3.
Oh, okay, I know.
Right?
The Eye of Thrash
Yeah,
Gorilla.
I mean, I'm wondering, is this, not too dissimilar? This is my favorite Scott Walker album. But, the way it's really close up with the big eyelashes and everything. Could be. But yeah, early Death Side tracks, they've got that. It sounds like the first 7-inch, right? It's still a bit muddy.
Yeah.
Production. They haven't quite found the sound yet. Still good. Tetsuari, No Machine Trouble is still a song that they play to this day. It's one of their classics. SOB, Raise Cane, maybe they're underdog on this record, maybe.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like the fact that they got on this record. It's cool,
Right, yeah.
Could have put a bigger name on it, but they went with Raise Cane.
Like if it was just like all name bands.
Very cool. And then Nightmare, and then Crow, which is like that. They finish off the record, right? It's at the end, I think. And then just relentless, many songs, I think, like just relentless discharge, D-beat style, whatever you want to call it.
The Osaka Crow.
The Osaka Crow. But it's funny because this picture of Crow, this is it's a place called Yanura. It's a live house in Tokyo. I went there, but I saw Tetsuari there. This very place. So yeah, was taken in Tokyo. But yeah.
Did that one get a bootleg treatment in recent years?
It did.
I know My Nuclear Poison did. I wasn't sure about that.
You've got to be careful because it's fairly well done. I forget what the hints are that it's the bootleg.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I don't have to be careful because I haven't. I had it from long ago, so fuck everybody else.
I like the picture of Death Side too because I think it's funny. You got Osaka Crow, but they had their picture taken in Tokyo. This is Death Side, but you got this is the singer of Rapes from Osaka, and then here he is again, Michung from Uto, in the Death Side photo. So I figured they were in Osaka when they took this picture.
A cool fact.
Yeah, a little nugget for everyone out there. But yeah, great artwork. It was done by someone called S. Arano, who did this artwork, who I've not heard of, but they call themselves Miscreant. I don't know if that's the band or the design company they worked for, but yeah. Selfish Records, 1988. Classic.
So, speaking of compilations with Death Side on it, I want to take this super shiny cover off.
All right.
I just, it's one of those Mylar Japanese ones with the adhesive strip that after 30 years that it's
completely, there you go.
It's just completely detached. There is no point whatsoever.
Nice. Nice. Cool.
On Kagai Moso.
Yes. Run by Zigyaku from Gudon, Bastard, and Judgment. That's his label.
Yeah, so Death Side, Half Years, Gudon, and Mad Conflux.
Mad Conflux.
Yes. So this is another one where it's just punishing thrash all the way through.
Yeah.
And Mad Conflux, another B compilation staple. A lot of smaller comps or whatever, but they made it to the big time in this one. In retrospect, it's big time anyways. At the time, I don't think it was quite as big a deal. But this is just like the half year stuff on here is just unstoppable.
Yeah, it's better than the 7-inch, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean the 7-inch is good too.
Yeah.
But this stuff is it's a little bit raw, a little heavier.
Yeah.
Everything on here is just so good. I mean, and Mad Conflux are outclassed by the other three bands, and they're still good.
Right.
They're just like a little less focused, I think you could say.
Right.
But yeah, I don't even know how much this one goes for now at this point.
There's one in Revenge Records in Osaka right now. It's about like 5,000 yen, $50. But that's record shop price, in Osaka.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what it would be elsewhere on the Skogs or whatever, but it's a really good, respectable comp, and it was a good label. Like almost
Very
everything
good.
they did is considered like a classic at this point, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Am I wrong? The Googleplex 7-inch was on there, wasn't there? I know the Chicken Ball.
I think it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of real good, like raw thrash stuff that really caught our ears back then. Let's say.
Yeah. Talking of Mad Conflux being outclassed, I would venture to say they weren't outclassed by the time they appeared on this Rager. Get Back the Discharged Arrow. I just love the sort of like simple design. It's brilliant. Kruk, Acid, Mad Conflux, Mess. We're both big fans of Mess. Their songs on this are just completely unhinged, as always, But Mad Conflux, I would say that second best band. The tracks on this really are the best stuff they ever did, I think. Just punishingly.
That's what you can say about a lot of these comps, is that there's bands that are just really hammering it home as much as anybody could. Just
I always want to say, like, you get like all of these, like especially these like 4-band comps. It's like all their songs could be a classic, like standalone, like 7-inch, right?
Yeah.
Right, but they're on a comp. Yeah, I think Acid for me are the weakest band, but we've got Kruk here with the umlauts.
Yep, so this is a crook on that one.
Yeah, and I like the Kruk tracks a little better than the ones on Starving Dog Eats Master. And Zigyaku from Bastard plays guitar with Kruk on these tracks, so they're a bit beefier. Yeah, so interesting, We played on that. What's inside? Not much. Yeah, and I loved the Mad Conflux with all the crazy photos of the long blonde hair and everything, like back combed up. Amazing. Yeah. Get Back the Discharged Arrow. Yeah. Amazing. I used to have a T-shirt with just that on it. Because that's all the band members, right?
Yeah. I think I remember. I think Selfish. I saw an ad where they were actually kind of like they were selling that record at a discount.
Really?
Like maybe they'd just been around for like into the 90s or whatever, just been around too long and not sold out. So it was like $16, which at the time was probably the price of 2 Western LPs. But for a Japanese LP, it was cheap,
Right. Just classic 4 bands. Bam. Yeah.
And I can't complain with the aesthetic of it either.
I love it. It's just so
real
simple,
bold.
but it's just so well done. Beautiful. Chef's kiss.
Lovely stuff.
Lovely stuff. We're down to the last few now, right?
We're down to the last few.
I've got 3 more, but they're a set. They come together.
Oh, really? Yeah. I have 3 more, and they're not a set. One of them is very brief.
Okay.
And the other one a little more, but it's
right.
fairly brief too. And as promised, I was going to present one punk record.
Yes.
Which is the Gosia Records complete collection, Crack. Which this came out, I want to say like 88 or something like that. And it's Gosia Records was a label that they did, like, all of their stuff was recorded between like summer of 78 and 79, and they did 645 7-inches. The Mirrors, Mr. Kite,
yeah,
Tsunimatsu Matsutoshi.
Yeah.
Matsutoshi. Another Mirrors thing.
Yeah.
Flesh and Maria 023, however you would say that.
Yeah.
So this is all kind of like, it's all like 70s punk, but it's more, I don't really hear too much British, English punk influence on New York punk, which I'm not exactly sure why that is. I don't know if that's because of the guys from Friction, just for whatever in this scene, like just bringing back that New York sound, the New York records and whatever.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But this originally, like in '83, it came out as a Gosia Special Dinner LP, which actually it omitted like a few of the songs from here. It just had like the best of the Maria 23 Flash and Second Mirrors 7-inch. So this is actually more complete, the later pressing of this. I think you could pick up for about $50 and probably less than 4,000 yen or something like that in Japan. But yeah, I mean, these records are super, super hard to find, and they're expensive when you find them out. I only one of them. I have the Mr. Kite 45 that I got for about $7 US in Norway, of all places. Just this tiny record shop. I'm flipping through stuff. And I was like, wow. So I picked that up. And, you know, it was in the 90s where there was no internet to look up anything.
Right.
But these two songs are like, to me, they're really good, kind of like that New York, little more dark, introspective punk.
I wonder if
like CBGBs.
I wonder if the Mad, because Screaming Mad George, he's Japanese, right? I don't know, and he lives in Osaka. I don't know.
Did he?
He lives in Osaka now. Yeah, he's Japanese, right? Lived in New York. Could be a little bit of a connection there as well. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Disc Union was part of like releasing this. I'm not sure where the original Gosia Records was based out of too.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, all this stuff was recorded in 13 months of each other. It was like June 70, July 79, and like all this stuff came out. Yeah, the Mirror stuff, Shogeki X on here, just a classic track. I mean, all this stuff is good. I can't even like remember at this point what's what. It's just kind of like I just listen to it all. And I get that wash of like a good compilation, even though they were 6 separate releases. It's just it's like how No New York is like a good collection.
Yeah.
A scene.
That's one, but I've got to look out for, because yeah. Shall I do? I'm going to do my whole set, and then very important.
My last two, one's going to be like almost nothing, and the other one will just be, you know, you'll see.
All right. So I want to show these to sort of show that, you know, you can get some amazing Japanese hardcore compilations. You don't have to break the bank. You can get a whole ton of amazing music. So there's 3 records in the series. Talking about these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Japanese hardcore with the most amazing artwork. This is volume 1. I will take no orders from anyone. Of course, it came out on Vinyl Japan. You know, Japanese label, but they had a record shop in London too. So the guy was sort of based in London, and these records were pressed in France, I think. Again, organized by Yoshikawa of Don Don. He put this together. But, you know, great lineup. Idora, Arsfort, the guitarist of Acid, guests on the Arsfort songs. Mess, again. I don't know if anybody could see this, but there's like a sticker like putting over I think they must have made a mistake. I haven't ripped it off. I don't know what's underneath. It's like the Gizm Obi. What's underneath this? Like, yeah, they must have like made a spelling mistake, and Mess said, you know, change it. And then, yeah, side B's more crusty. SDS, Macrophage, some of their best songs, and then Don Don to finish off the record. So that's volume 1. Great record. Absolutely. You can find this for like 500 yen, like in Japan. I don't know about, you know. overseas. Now, volume 2 is where it gets really interesting for me. Like even better artwork done by a guy called Koji. Volume 2, Who's Chained Up to the Dogs of Outrage. Side 1 is just flawless. It could be 3 perfect 7-inch singles. Pile Driver with all their best songs. The Rustler, Shizuoka Hardcore. Just absolutely unhinged. And then The Innocents with their best material. This would have been like an incredible 7-inch. It's like, it just makes you want to like break things, you know. It's like just so aggressive and manic, unhinged. Like side A is perfect for me. And side B has got Juntes, kind of their weaker songs. Probably the production's kind of a bit weak on the song. Banish Arms, back again. Sendai's best. And So What, also from Shizuoka, but bit controversial. Apparently, like So What got a little bit of bullying because they'd stopped doing their mohawks at this stage. And so, you know, you can see the Shizuoka Innocents with their mohawks, and then So What, looking with the skater look. Still great songs, but side A is just perfect, absolutely perfect. Pile Driver, Rustler, and Innocents. Again, $6 record even now. Vinyl Japan. And then the last one, more crusty. This one, right? The Truth compilation. Kosa, which is like pre-Effigy from Takamatsu. Pretty interesting. Crusty metallic hardcore. Life, really early Life material. Ash Rain, I don't know too much about them. Defiance, which is a pre-Gloom band. Defiance. Bloodbath, Guillotine Terror. Right? And then again, produced by Yoshikawa, but at this point, he's in a band called Dishonor. He's not in Dondon anymore. He's in a band called Dishonor. Have you heard them?
I've never even heard of Dishonor.
Yeah, but he's Dondon's broken up. He has this new band called Dishonor. So he put this together too. And this guy is Shiga-chan. He's like a legendary Osaka punk. That's Shiga-chan on the back. Again, another 500 record. Yoshikawa did the artwork. Yeah. 3 records you can get for under $20 for free. And they're all great. And they're not cool. They're not cool because they are pressed in France, you know. They're not very.
And Vinyl Japan also did that Unwise, Worth of Existence, right?
And
that's another one you can get cheap. And to me, it's a masterpiece of like noisecore of that era.
Right, but people don't really care about it. It's not very alluring. It's on this, you know, big. They pressed loads of them. It's not rare. You can pick it up. Pressed in France. But yeah,
I loved it, and I still love it. So
yeah, good point. All right.
Okay, now I am glad that you did this, where you have 3 records that are easy to get and still great. And the Japanese.
Yeah, I wanted to do that. Like, not everything's rare, and you know.
I'm doing the exact opposite of that. These are extremely rare records you will never find for cheap. And not even except for the first Gauze studio stuff on here, which is so good.
Yeah,
it is so good. It is better than Fuckheads by far to me. It's not even close. It's so good. It's been recently bootlegged too, so maybe you can get it now. But the original is so hard to get.
Right.
The other band, mostly throwaways. Isolation are okay. Wave, whatever. Radical are better. They're a little more astringent, a little more harsh, but still kind of just post-punk kind of stuff. And Nursery Rhyme is terrible. The Gauze stuff on here are incredible, and of course on City Rocker Records.
City Rocker is just part of Dogma, though, right? That's like a subsidiary of.
About Dogma. I mean, came out in '82, so
I'm pretty sure it's Mickey Moriwaki again, the doll guy.
I thought City Rocker was actually the mother label, and Dogma was like more of the hardcore label, because the stuff
Yeah.
on City Rocker, like Madame Eduarda, it's a Masturbation 12-inch on there too. It's a little more post-punk 80K goth kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so
Cool.
and
For the finale,
final, and this is another
finale, the grand finale.
And it's not even good, but it has Neo, which has a Confused track on it. Found nowhere else. It's kind of like a version of Old Man, but a little more like 77 punk.
Yeah.
Little pogo punky. It's excellent. And I haven't listened to this in a long time, but I don't remember any of the other bands on here being.
Who's on it?
Oh God, it is a bunch of no fucking names. Let me tell you. I think there was a little post punk that was okay, but it's.
I did own that at one point, but I've forgotten about it. To be honest with you.
Yeah, Paint Box, not the Paint Box.
Not a different Paint
Paint Box named probably after the Pink Floyd song.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Penny Arcade. I assume they stink at this point. I don't remember. Right. I think the Stuck were actually some kind of like post-punk that were okay. Faith, not the Faith you know, once again. Mind Control, I mean, that could be some crusty band.
Yeah.
But it's not. I know it's not. It's some horse shit. Confused Old Man, which is, it's great. The High, which, I don't know.
Punk?
I would assume they're like a punk or a mod band or something based on that name.
Yeah.
Alice, maybe the same. Romance Jack. I'm not really convinced on that name that they're going to be good. And Strawberry Jean.
Oh yeah. Why? I wonder how and why Confused ended up. Is that a regional comp?
I think it is regional.
It must be, right?
Portrait Records. I mean, I'm looking at these other bands. Wow, they do. I mean, yeah, I mean, these guys right here, these Shy guys right here.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at those lads.
Romance Jack. Oof. Yeah, Romance Jack. It definitely looks like some kind of new romantic kind of thing, right. Actually. Yeah, I don't see any addresses here, so. But I think it was a regional comp. It's on Portrait Records, which I don't know if they did a bunch of other stuff or they only did this. Because I know in looking at Last Punk Osaka, that the label it was on was Beggar's Connection. That was the only record that was ever on it.
Right.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. Those last two are just the rare records that you cannot have unless you want to spend a bunch of money.
That's cool. Nice little contrast there between.
Not necessarily very good either versus those records.
Expensive records.
And they're cheap and they're great.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, we could have made this a 2-part thing. There's so many more great compilations. But
yeah. Right back here, I have another foot of Japanese comp.
Part two. I have a few more too. Yeah.
How many 8-inches do you have? We got to look at 8 inches.
Actually, not many. Actually, I definitely have the mess at this point.
Yeah, brain itches.
Yeah. Yes. All right. I hope everyone watching enjoyed making this or watching this as much as we enjoyed making it. I had a lot of fun, and also listening to some of these records as well because I hadn't listened to some of these for a while. It's kind of cool to pull them out again and. They all sound great.
Pulling them out and just like kind of going through it like band by band.
Yeah. So thanks, Brian. Always good to talk to you. Until next time, stay healthy and stay.